hope you can see yourself.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, all right. All right, so we're live. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I have a very important guest with us today. He's my friend, my brother. Yeah, very, very important. So he's trying to support this, but yeah, he's a great guy. So, so we'll be speaking with Dinma Mordi today. His name is Dinma Mordi, Ogadinma Mordi, for long. He's an alumnus of Redeemers University, and he also holds an advanced diploma in procurement and supply from the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. He worked with Diageo for a long time, and he left as the procurement category manager, logistics and warehousing. And then he moved to Lafarge, where he occupied the same position as a manager. And then a few months later, he went to Nigerian Breweries, where he held and spent a huge amount of money for projects. Basically, he actually managed huge portfolios as a category buyer, logistics and investment projects. And currently, he is the managing director. I was supposed to start from this, managing director of Agricorp International Development Limited, which is basically is a company basically into agriculture and it likes. So Dinma is actually the MD of that company in Nigeria, I guess. So Dinma is a strategist, is a procurement expert, is an entrepreneur. And there's this funny thing he put, it's not really funny actually, but the fact that Dinma says he's a farmer is very exciting because I have never seen Dinma in that space. And it is lovely, really, to see Dinma calling himself a farmer. I'm so happy for him though. And he's also a husband and a dad. So everybody, please help me welcome my friend, my brother, Dinma Mordi. Dinma, welcome, man.
Thank you, Obina. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And yes, I am a farmer. I have been a farmer for more than a year now. So yes, and it's exciting. Thank you. It's good to be here, Obi.
Yeah, thank you. So one thing people don't know, Dinma, I said Dinma is my friend and brother, but he was also my landlord one time. All right.
I was hoping you could bring that up, eh?
I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah, I had to bring it up just to so that people will know. Yeah, Dinma was my landlord one time. I was literally homeless, if I can put that. I was literally homeless, but Dinma was my landlord. Yeah, he was really a great guy. Great guy, Dinma, great guy. Yeah. Great guy. You'll be hearing your voice everywhere, Dinma. So because a lot of people, you have a lot of fans here and there, but yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Dinma is a great guy. Great guy. I'm so excited to have you here today, brother.
I'm glad to be here. I think it's long overdue, eh?
It's long overdue.
It's long overdue.
Because I remember when I tested you first concerning this.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to have you, brother.
It's good to be finally here, and I must commend you for what you do because I also do follow the U2 experience with some of the very senior guys that have been here, and the kind of things that we've learned from them. So yes, it's a privilege for me to be here. So thank you again for it.
Yeah. So basically, there's a lot of people listening in, both the old and the young. The young, I mean, even the ones that are yet to start their career, those in school, trying to transcend into or transit into the labor market and stuff like that. And some of them are trying to understand how to, navigate their lives, especially in the world in general, not just in Nigeria, because I won't be specific to Nigeria because this is happening globally. Yeah, Amazon, Google, most of those multinationals are downsizing their staffs, basically. Yeah. Amazon, Google, Microsoft, you name them. So that means people will need to find another source of income, probably to find another job. I don't know. or probably to become entrepreneurs, or probably to get into something different. But speaking to the young people, so Dinma is not old. You can see that Dinma is a young man. Even though he has a span of experience, he's he's young. So Dinma, talking to the young folks, and I know where I'm actually starting from here, because I'm passionate about the fact that people are losing food on their table now, especially where we are in the world. And I think it's because of this Russia-Ukraine war.
Yeah.
I think that basically started this whole thing. So talking to the young people globally, what would you say to them finishing school and trying to get into the labor market and there's no job? What would you say to them? I know we're starting in this in the note of trying to advise people, right? But what would you say to them trying to transit into the labor market to survive?
Okay, thanks, Obi. First and foremost, I would say that, of course, there is a gap between people who come out of school and the job opportunities that are there, and it's contracting every day. It's contracting every day because of, like you said, the whole mess going on in the labor market and globally. But one thing that I would advise is that if you come into the labor market, you would learn fast that you cannot afford to have a gap in your CV, right? And a gap can be between when you have a job and then you lose the job, and then there's this massive gap before you get another job. But it could also be, which I think is the case in Africa, majorly, where there is a gap between when you finish school and when you start doing something. My advice to people coming out of school is that, particularly those in Africa and in Nigeria, where you have this kind of pressure, is that you cannot afford to have a gap when you're just starting your career. So while you're finishing school and you're trying to get a job, you must be doing something. You must be doing something that is qualified to either meet what you want to do or to sell a potential to a possible employer sometime in the future, or when you are ready, or when that opportunity comes up. You must be doing something, because the reality today is that employers require good people, right? And if you are coming in as a fresh graduate, you are not selling experience, you are selling potential, right? The other way that you would use to sell potential, other than probably what you studied in school, is to show, okay, this is what I have done, even while waiting for a job. I mean, imagine seeing a CV, you graduated in 2022, and then you're coming for an interview in 2024 and your CV is blank. Already, I strongly doubt if you will even be shortlisted, but if you are shortlisted, you would not miss out on that question. Why? So what have you been doing for the last 2 years? So you must be doing something. You must be doing something that is adding value so that you can eventually sell that. You must be doing something that eventually helps you to sell experience, right? For example, you want to be, say, a content creator. You probably read mass comm and you finish school and you want to be a content creator. And then you come out of school and you're waiting to work with the likes of CNN or channels or any media house, and it's taking a bit. My advice is that you start doing something. Go do something on YouTube, go do something on Facebook, Google, whatever that is in that line, so that you start to brush up your skills. And then, of course, you're not just idle, because employers don't like idle people. That way you could sell two things eventually when you get an opportunity. You could sell experience based on what you have done, and then you could also show that you've been productive in one way or the other. So my advice, avoid any form of gap in your CV.
Okay, that's awesome advice. Avoid any form of gap in your CV. So let's get to you now. Like, I know I introduced you on how you started your career from Guinness all the way. From Guinness all the way to where you are now as the MD. How was it for you? I know those times were different.
Yeah.
Because you finished school a long time ago, basically, and you joined DRG and stuff like that. I think you worked with GT. I think so.
The three companies mentioned, that's it.
Okay. All right. So tell us a bit of your experience, right? Like after you finished school and what you went through to even land your first job. Like what was it like, the processes? What was involved in it? Like even tell us the nitty-gritties, the experience you get into the interview center. Because the idea here is to paint some sort of picture.
Yeah.
Just to make you understand that it's not, because some people will look at your resume and they'll be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
This is being sincere, right? There will be, I mean, you're looking modest and you're sounding modest, but that's the fact. There will be people that would see it, right? Because I know you don't see yourself as almighty Dinma, the humble Dinma, basically. But what I know is that people will look at that, your profile, and they will say, yes, this guy, maybe God picked him out and favored him separately. But that's not what it is. There was a process from how you started. Yeah. So trying to paint a picture of the day you got you got the email from Diageo, how you got to that place. What was the interview like? There's something I want to say here, but I don't want to say it. I want you to say it with your mouth. When you were coming, the reason why you bought a car and stuff like that. I want you to just paint that picture so that someone that is in that space now would understand that there is actually a process to life. You understand? There's somebody sees Dinma as the MD of a multinational, if I can say that. It is actually a multinational because it's not just located in Nigeria. So somebody sees Dinma as the MD of a multinational today. They will feel that, oh, Dinma just, life was easy. Life just, and he got there. But we all know that there's always a process to life. Yeah. So just tell us, just paint a picture of that first start.
Okay. So I will talk through my career and I will point out three things, and then maybe one other thing, but that is central across those three things. And from the experience, you get what I mean. Not to sound cliche, right? The first thing is God. I know most people would say, well, I mean, what else are you going to say? But in its reality, and you see from how it happened, you know, I coming out of school, I just one thing I was trying to avoid was a gap. I wasn't really focused on whether I wanted to work with a big time company but I just wanted to avoid the gap, right? And the first point why I say it is God is in the finals of my schooling, my last semester, final year, was when I entered into 2-2, right? Second class upper limit. But as God will have it, I came out and then I was fortunate enough to serve with Guinness Nigeria, the NYC program, 1-year program, right? And then I went through that process. That 1 year alone, it's a big one. But I went through that process, and companies like Guinness don't, at least at that time, I don't know about now, but as at that time, of course, when the graduate management trainee program came up, it didn't matter whether you were an IT or a copper. Those companies have standard, they have processes, and it doesn't change. You go through the process. And then I applied. The first point of God is the point I made about making up a second class upper at my final year, last semester, because that was the access to even be able to be shortlisted in Guinness Nigeria. If you didn't have that, I think, I don't know, but I suspect that these guys have some kind of tool that just scans through CV and be looking for upper limit, and first class. If you don't have it in your CV, something just pushes it up, you know, like when you go through the line of a beer, when it's bad, something just comes up and pushes the bad bottle out. So that is the first part. So for me, it is God. The second part is, of course, I was shortlisted for the what is it called now? The graduate training program, the assessment center. I mean, a whole full day of assessment center, you can imagine. I was in procurement then, and I know that as at that time, procurement wanted to take 3 graduate trainees, right? Then we went through the process. I applied for procurement and all of that. And then I came 4th, right? So the first, like I mentioned, first point was God. The second point in my career, because when I look back, is bosses. Now, my boss that I worked for when I was the copper, you know, the procurement wanted 3 people, but I came 4th in the entire process, which meant that automatically in fact, I was already packing my bag to say, look, 1 year don't end, you didn't get it, so you have to start. But the boss that I had, I mean, God bless this guy. Till date, he's still a mentor. Helped me, stepped in, and then went around the company because it was a graduate trainee program, so the different departments were recruiting. He went around the company trying to sell the person that came first to other departments. And why did he do that? Of course, because the person that came first didn't apply directly for procurement. But eventually in the process, I don't know what happened between him and HR and all of that. Eventually he came through into procurement. So this guy went to sell the person that came first to other departments. And then supply chain, thankfully, again, God took him. So immediately they took him. He said, oh, look, this guy, it doesn't matter. It's fine. The other guys are good for me. That's how I came in. You remember, I came 4th. They wanted 3 people. So when supply chain took him, and then I got the opportunity, and then I started my career. So it then brings me to the point of loyalty. I mean, it's, I think, going on 13, 14 years now. And I say every time and every opportunity I have, loyalty will always supersede expertise. Loyalty to your boss will always trump expertise. It doesn't matter how smart, how diligent, how good you are, how intelligent you are. If you are not loyal to your boss, you will struggle in that environment and you will most likely not grow. Of course, you're not going to enjoy the job. There's nothing as bad as waking up every day, going through the hassles of Lagos to go to a job that you don't enjoy. There's nothing as bad as that. Loyalty to your boss. And you know, when I say this, people say, oh, you're talking about, pardon my language, kiss ass or being a sycophant. Sycophancy is different from loyalty. Sycophancy is, I worship you because I want to get an advantage with you. I want something from you. Loyalty is genuine. It's genuine love and care and want of happiness, of growth for your boss. And then it's reciprocated because you will never be there where your boss speaks about you. I can tell you for free that loyalty is not just something I do. For me, it is a strategy in the workplace. And I have adopted this in all of the organizations that I have worked in. And it has massive benefit. I have experienced it. You know, I have experienced it. The things that you felt, well, maybe I didn't do so good to get and exceed expectation. A full limit is fine. I'm happy. But because of loyalty, my God, you get even an outstanding. You know, so if you get into the workplace, understand first that saying, God, the help person, right? Be loyal to your boss because you will never win a battle, even if you know more than your boss. I mean, look at it this way. What you do should propel your boss. If your boss succeeds, automatically you succeeded. Because if his boss gives you something to do, and then if his boss gives him something to do, and then he gives it to you, you deliver it for him, it automatically means he has delivered it for his boss. Everybody wins. So loyalty to your boss is really, really critical. And I experienced it in Guinness. I mean, awesome years in Guinness, 8 years. You will never, I don't think you would ever forget your experience of your first job. 8 years in Guinness was awesome, was amazing, and I learned a lot. I did a short stint in Lafarge, applied the same thing, process there, and then Nigerian breweries. My goodness, it was like you compressed the experience between Guinness and Lafarge into 4 years of Nigerian breweries. Also, another amazing phase of my life, and you see that this value for your boss, you know, it comes through. The last thing that I would say is that there is no way you succeed without building amazing relationships. And when you go to multinationals that are really, really, I would say, ruling the world, that are really, really influencing the world with their products or their services, they might just use different nomenclature, but there's always that criticality about relationships. Relationships with your boss, relationship with your stakeholders, relationship with your clients, your customers, relationship with the government. If you build amazing relationships, you would almost be coasting and just sail through your career. Because where there are challenges, because of relationships that you have built, either by being loyal, either by just genuinely helping people, either by going above and beyond to get things done, either by taking ownership where there's no sense of leadership in anything, maybe like in a project or you're supposed to deliver something. I mean, I worked in procurement. Procurement is a service delivery function. So you can imagine that the whole business is expecting procurement to deliver for them. It takes a whole lot of relationship to make things just go the way they should go. And then you get a payback. You get a payback in any form. Because where they are discussing your career and your capabilities and the next phase for you, you will never be there. And sometimes these things are an informal thing, probably playing golf somewhere, having dinner, and they're discussing, oh, something has come up, who can do it? Just because you delivered for somebody, maybe you didn't even do anything for the person for 1 year, but the person had an issue and he needed help, you know, and you were the only one that could help, and you went above and beyond and helped. That person would remember you. So God, loyalty to your boss, amazing relationships. If I look back my career till date, I mean, there are a whole lot of other things, but those three things really, really stand out for me. But what is also important, that is like a thread across three of them, of course, is hard work. There is no way any of these things. First and foremost, God will not bless a lazy man. That's number one.
Yes.
Number two, you will not get loyalty and your boss will reciprocate when you cannot deliver the job. So what is the point? Your boss wants something done, you cannot do it, and then you say you're loyal. It doesn't add up. And of course, amazing relationship is basically, you know, people want things, you get it done for them. How you engage those people. All of these things is really about work. And I mean, some people call it hard work, some people call it smart work, you know, whatever you call it, discipline, it doesn't matter. Just get the job done. Simple. Yeah. So those three things are they are serious standouts for me if I look back my career.
Yes, and you've had I mean, you're still going because you had an amazing career, even as a procurement expert down into business strategy and entrepreneurism, if there's any word like that. But the fact is that you've had a fantastic sale of career, and basically you just told us what is needed to excel in a workplace. And I even think, if I can add, even to personal relationships, right? Because I see that same thing, you applied that same strategy even with personal relationships, what you just said. Because if I remember days back, when I first met you at Guinness, so when you said something about leaking acids and all that stuff like that, one thing I know is that you don't do that, actually, even with your voice and your demeanor and your presentation, right? That one, I know for sure that you don't do that. But the thing is that behind that strongness, that's how you present yourself and stuff like that, there's somebody inside. So sometimes people tend to misinterpret it because of the way you present yourself. But the thing is that that's who you are. So when you said something about you give the difference between loyalty and the other part, I understood what you were saying, basically, because you actually extended that into personal relationships, both big and small. I saw that firsthand. It was wonderful. So and I think that's the reason why, even when we spoke the last time, I was asking you about this, and that you were just telling me that the same set of people. Yeah. Nothing changed from the fact that you became an MD. I don't know why I keep saying this thing. It's because I'm excited. But nothing changed from the fact that you are the MD of a multinational, and yet you still keep up with the relationships of old. from when you started.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really, it's something that can be applied everywhere across board, even in families. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you spend 8 to 16 hours of every day of your life, or at least every weekday of your life, with in the workplace. I mean, automatically means that you spend most of your time with colleagues. So what is the point of spending so much time with people that eventually you don't build things with, you don't have that relationship with? So I mean, if you spend time to build those amazing relationships in the workplace, can as well just extend beyond the workplace, because at the end of the day, these are the people that in some cases you even spend much time with these people beyond your family. So eventually these people should become family at the end of the day. So that's why, and life is not so hard. Life is not so difficult. We only, the complexity of man just makes it look like that. If you're a good friend in the office, why can't you be a good friend outside of the office?
Outside. Yeah. Great guy. So, so Dinma, you said something about God, bosses and mentors. You said something about loyalty, and you also said something about amazing relationship. But I also want to focus on mentorship. I would ask later how important is family in, you understand, your journey, right? Even how family has influenced your journey. I'll ask that later. But for now, I want to ask, how important is mentorship in your growth as a professional? How important is that?
Mentorship is absolutely important, and I beg you, if you are listening from maybe a graduate or a career person, you don't have one, or you don't have even more than one, please get one. You know, it's like you know, sometimes when we cannot use that example, but it's like when you're driving in the night, you know, and then the lights go off and you don't have a headlamp. What happens? You crash automatically. Mentors they've seen things that you will see. They've seen things that you will see. So it's easy for you, again, like I said, if you have, and sometimes people misplace mentors for school father or office father. No, that's not what a mentor is. A mentor is not there to babysit you. A mentor is not there to tell you, oh, it's good when he knows it's bad. That's not the responsibility of a mentor. You know, when I joined Guinness Nigeria, I specifically went to my boss and said, look, the only thing that you can do for me, because then I was a copper and I was thinking maybe if I don't get the job after 1 year, leave Guinness Nigeria. I said to him that the only thing that you can do for me is just mentor me. And that's when I understood the value of mentoring, because he schooled me and told me, look, don't think that I'm going to pat you on the back when you're doing, that's not mentorship. If you want that, go to your dad will do that. I'm not your dad. Mentors help you see the things that are coming your way. It's not that they might come your way, it's guaranteed they are coming your way, but they see it ahead because they've experienced it. And then they guide you on how you go about it, which makes it easier. For example, I have bosses that in their experience, you know, they struggled and they fought with their boss. Some of them even lost their job because they were fighting with their boss. But mentors told me, and that's how I knew that, look, you will never win any battle with your boss. I mean fight, I don't mean physical fight, but I mean trying to prove that you know more than your boss. Yes, you can know more than your boss. That's a possibility, but there's a reason why he's your boss or she's your boss. So if you don't have mentors, I advise that you go get one, because it is really, really critical from the beginning of your career till the end of it, and even beyond the workplace. You know, a lot of people have mentors that are beyond the workplace for different things of their life. So they help you see what is coming your way. I mean, if you can see the future, why not take it?
Yes.
You know, if you can see the future, I mean, I would give anything to see the future, right? So if I know this person has been on this trajectory and he has seen it all or she has seen it all, you know, and somehow they came through. And I know that that's the path I'm taking, and this person came through. Why not go and learn what that person did, you know, to maneuver his way through? So mentors are really, really critical for not just the career, but for life.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good one. So another question I want to ask in terms of mentors, because certain times mentors are some mentors you can see physically, but those mentors that you don't necessarily have access to.
Yeah.
How do you gain mentorship from those people?
Well, for people that you don't have access to, I think it's just some sort of followership virtually. I mean, some of these guys probably, some of them might have books that they've written. Some of them have papers they've written. I mean, sometimes I go on LinkedIn and I go and look at people's CV and see the things they do. And I really do appreciate people who spend time on their CV on LinkedIn. You know, that, for example, somebody says, oh, I ran a company of $20 billion turnover. And I see that, oh, okay, that's good, but I'm not really getting what you did that made you successful in that. But you look at some people's CV, they're detailed, they go a bit more detailed with it and tell you some of the things that they handled, how they handled it, you know, and like that. So people like that you don't have access to. I mean, read their books, listen to their lectures, attend seminars where they are there, you know, study their life pattern in any virtual way that you can, you know, so that you can, because at the end of the day, what is mentorship? Mentorship is just disseminating experience. Basically, that's yes. the summary of it, is giving you experience that I have that you don't have. So an experience doesn't necessarily mean that I'm talking to you one-on-one. I could read your books and understand what you went through, and it passes a message across to me. And because, I mean, of course, there are people that I follow that I don't know. They're not even in Africa, for example. Yeah. You know, but I follow them because I follow everything that they do, every book that they write, every seminar that they are in. You follow those kind of people. But if you can, I mean, try and also get people that you can engage with, because there's this thing about personal interaction, you know, that goes beyond just studying people. But a combination of all of it really helps.
Yeah, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm not trying. Please forgive me. So, just in case, people are looking for you to be their mentor, just in case, right? Is it okay if they reach out to you through your social media platforms? I'll probably put it out there, and we'll talk about that after this whole thing. But just in case people are looking to, they've looked at your strides and they say, okay, fine, I want this guy to mentor me. Is it possible? Is it okay if they reach out to you and ask for
I'm even as I am now, I'm still looking for more mentors. I don't see myself as being qualified enough to mentor people. But then again, of course, 13, 14 years of work experience, there's something to share for sure, even if it's just God loves you, you know. So yes, I am open to that. Like I said, mentorship is a two-way thing, right? It's not the what is it called now? It's not one where you just feed on one and then you go. So mentorship is not just about, you know, getting from your boss or getting from your mentor. It's also about, you know, the value that you are bringing at the same time. Again, that comes into the relationship that we talked about. So yes, but I am open to it for sure.
Okay, great. So yeah, so I'll get into the career bits now, right? So basically you've had like 13, 14 years as a procurement expert. I know people study maybe biology and they're actually working in the bank and stuff like that. Things change, basically. Yeah. Sometimes what you study is not what you get as a profession. So people trying to get into the procurement space, right? What would you? This is another virtual kind of mentorship. You just reaching out to people that can't physically get through to you. So people trying to get into procurement, what is it that they need to have? I mean, talked about God, mentorship, that's bosses, you've talked about loyalty, you've talked about amazing relationships and even hard work. But in the real facts about excelling as a procurement expert, you said it's a service delivery kind of job or something like that. But what is it that they necessarily have to do to excel as a procurement expert?
Well, I don't think, well, it's basically the same thing that you need to do to excel in anything. First and foremost, there must be a desire for it. You have to love what you do, because that's where every other thing, and when I mean every other thing, every other hard thing that comes with it, becomes almost easy. So the first thing is to desire and want that you want to be a specialist in this, right? Now, when you get through that, the next thing, just like every other career path, is to build the skill in it. You need to take time and build the skill in it. There's no career or there's no specialization that you do overnight. Sometimes, and that's one of the challenges with procurement, but I dare say that in the last 8 to 10 years, that narrative has changed globally. There's this idea of what are they doing? Not be just to go buy this thing as procurement. No, it's not just to go buy this thing, trust me. So there is a skill to it that you must go through and learn. Once you learn that skill, you develop that skill, again, it makes it much easier as an added advantage to the fact that you love to do it, right? So if you want to go into procurement, my advice is first, you must desire you must love it, you must want it. And then, of course, very important, you must learn the skill of procurement. Procurement is not done by chance. It's not trade by barter that you just go and, okay, I want to buy this. And no, that's not what procurement is. It's a whole lot more than that, right? So, I mean, if you want us to start talking about procurement, you probably not live here. But my advice is to get the skill if you want to. And it takes time, but just with any other practice, as long as you are putting in all your efforts, you are building the skill, you're spending time and resources to build that skill, you're going through a mentorship program, you are doing the activity and learning on the job. All of that, I mean, in no time you'd really come out tops in what you do, and probably at some point become a specialist. I mean, for those who really do know procurement, or who really want procurement, or have an idea of procurement in Nigeria and probably in the world, know that there is a body, Chartered Institute of Supply and Demand. Supply in the UK, they also have a Nigerian branch. Fortunately, and I'm very proud to say it's the Nigerian branch today is headed by my mentor, Harold Nwariako. So those kind of institutions, those kind of organizations really chart the path for procurement, where you can get a lot of learnings, a lot of certifications, a lot of teachings, meet a lot of people. And there are really, really passionate people in that space in Nigeria today. The world has come to realize that procurement is a very critical point for a very critical function for the organization. So there's a lot of effort being put into that place. So I mean, people who are considering procurement, just check out the Nigerian branch for CIPS. You can easily reach out to Harold Nwariako. I'm sure if you check him on LinkedIn, you see all of the good things that he's doing, and the Nigerian branch of SIPS is also doing. But skill is not debatable. You must get it.
Yeah. So Harold Nwariako, I know there was one time we went to one of his programs, one of those programs he organized. I think it was in the island one time. He had this consult kind of thing where he tried to prep people into becoming better in the workplace. And also one or two things he was doing that was really, really insightful at the time. I benefited from that few engagement with him and when he thought at that point in time. So you said something about skill, and you've had managerial positions over time. And I know as a manager talking to, because if I remember that time in the IG when you talk to suppliers and stuff like that, I know the shout and the heat that comes with it because of the demands coming from the departments that needs those raw materials and stuff like that. So basically you built leadership skill over time.
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm about to ask. So now you are working with Agricorp.
Yeah.
How would you say that? So would you say your leadership skills built over time is actually helping you to succeed here in Agricorp?
For sure. I mean, and again, when people hear leadership, they think it's always about a portfolio, a role. Not necessarily. I mean, there's also leader, like you mentioned, rightly mentioned, just engaging with your clients alone or your customers or the suppliers. You require a lot of leadership skills to be able to do that. You know, so all of those engagements as a supply chain person, as a procurement person, all these years, you know, helps you to really understand, because at the end of the day, right, to get anything done requires people, interpersonal engagement. So, and what is leadership? Leadership is basically influencing you to do what I want, right? So if I understand that I need you to do this so that I can get this, and my client or my customer, my colleague is happy, then I look for what is required to get you to do it. Now, what is required to get you to do it? Again, it's somewhat different in some contexts, right? But there are some things that are just a cut through. It doesn't matter the context. It doesn't matter who you're talking to. It doesn't matter the industry. Those certain things are cut through, which is understanding. And that's where, sometimes that's where we miss it as procurement. I mean, when I started procurement, I thought it was all about, you know, what do you mean? I work with Guinness Nigeria. We are the bigger company. What? No. With today, you try that, you crumble the company, right? Because there has to be an underlying understanding and appreciation that it has to be a win-win. Listen, because if, for example, I bought, let me say catering, for example, as a service, if Guinness or Nigerian Breweries or Lafarge could do catering themselves, they wouldn't need a supplier. But as long as they have decided to get a supplier, which first and foremost tells you that they are not an expertise in it. I mean, in those days, we used to say, well, all we know how to do is brew beer. We don't know how to do what you are talking about, right? So you engage from that perspective that it has to be a value addition to both parties. And that's when both parties get value, right? Yeah. So leadership is about understanding that, engage this guy or this lady or this person or this company that, look, I am bringing value to the table. You are bringing value to the table. So let's work together and let's all get what we want. And then that way, again, so sometimes for me, building amazing relationship is very critical to leadership, because it goes a long way to be able to influence, which is the crux of leadership. I want you to move from point A to point B. What do I do to move you from point A to point B? Influence. So you look for different things. Sometimes it's just about who attends a meeting. Sometimes it's just about your face in the meeting. Sometimes it's just about the tone of your email, right? Sometimes it's just an analysis that you understand. Look, if I do this, this person is most likely going to react this way, right? And then you do it and it does that, and we move on. So it's a combination of different things based on the context. But what is important is that you must be able to influence, right? And then if you can influence this person, of course. So if you look at the things that you do as a procurement person, I mean, the kind of resources that you're opportune to manage for a global company, like you mentioned, for example, I know that at some point, there was a time I was managing almost 50 million euros on just projects alone. If you manage 50 million euros for companies, you know that you have to do a whole lot of leadership, a whole lot of engagement, a whole lot of influencing to get value, because procurement is about getting value. It's about getting value on both sides, right? So why should I get value and the other person doesn't get value? If you do that, the next time you need him, he won't be available, right? So it takes a whole lot of influencing that you need to do, a whole lot of very value-adding relationship that you need to build to get things going, and that's the only way you influence. And once you can influence, that's leadership already.
Yeah. So basically, you apply some level of emotional intelligence in trying to make people do what they're supposed to do. Whether
of course, that's why I said again, it depends on the context. Sometimes you need to do a whole lot more. Sometimes you don't need to do a whole lot more. But what is important is that I must influence this guy to get this thing done. You know, and sometimes it's just what you do, is who you are, is how you carry yourself, is what all of those things combined together, plus your skill. You know, because it's not just it's not just to say, well, I can lead, I can do this, I can influence. again, there's also a leadership skill. And that's why I said, look, at the end of the day, it's either you learn it on the job or you go pay for it, you go out there, or you go through a mentoring program that helps you understand it. But it's a combination of different things. And the skill is about knowing what to combine when. But the goal is influence, right? That's what leadership is. As long as you can influence somebody to do something, what it takes to do that is a combination of experience, skill, context, because there are some people that, in procurement parlance, there are some people that you have to be adversarial with. There are some people that you can never be adversarial with. You will never get anything done with them. So you have to engage with them with knowing that from the point of view that we are equal partners. There are some people that you have to be adversarial with. There are some people that, look, I know that you are very good at this, but to reduce your leverage on me, I get an alternative, and I put it in your face that I have an alternative. That way, I influence you to reduce your price. So it depends again on the context of who you are dealing with or who you are trying to meet. That you just throw your ammunition.
Let's take it a bit higher a bit. So as the MD of Agricop, yeah. So you have a wider coverage of people to work with, employees to work with and stuff, even internationally and all that stuff. So there's a difference. Even while you're working with those multinationals, Guinness, Lafarge, and Nigerian breweries and stuff, it's a multinational company, and you also needed to, engage with both clients, colleagues, internationally and locally. This, as the MD, is a bit different.
Yeah.
So let's go a bit higher level in terms of management. Management in the sense that you're managing both the lower and higher cadre of people, right? Yeah. That has different level of understanding that spans across Africa, right? And in some case, you need to make sure that your numbers are high, if that's how you guys put it there. So to make your employees comfortable, right? Everything they say depends on the leadership, which is you. I don't know if that's true. So as the MD, you tend to set the direction and the tone of the company, right? So I asked you this question when we spoke the other time, where we said something about, I was listening to this woman on LinkedIn. I've forgotten her name, but I remember, where she was talking about checkmating and looking at checkmates at each level of leadership. So as the MD, I asked you that question where I said, do you have like a supervisor over you that checkmates your activities? And you did say that you had a boss, stuff like that and all that things. And you also have a board that if they see you and see, you said something about they look at you if you're doing the job and you're not doing the job and all that stuff. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is this is a different level where you are now is different from where you're coming from, right? And I know procurement has actually helped in your negotiation skills because you also have to deal with people, clients and all that stuff. But when it comes to management, high level management, and I'm speaking to both the young and old that are holding managerial positions, and even those that are looking up to become like you, holding up managerial positions, does it all boil down to what you think you know in terms of, now you're in the farming field, what you think you know in terms of farming, or does it all boil down to where the money is? Like, paint a picture of what your board wants from you. Do they want where the money is coming from, or is it just based on the fact that you know agriculture?
Okay, very good question. I don't think that so I've been in Agricop for 1 year. So let me take it this way. And the first part is it's not so much different being an MD, particularly where you're not a founder or you didn't start the company. It's not so much different from any other person that holds a role. Let's just take it from that first, and I'll get to your question. Because anybody that is in any role or occupies any role, probably most likely sometimes you have subordinates, you have peers, you have your bosses, and they have their bosses. So in this case, for me, Agricorp is a global company that is represented in Nigeria, DRC Congo, Zambia, and in the UK, right? So I have a boss who is the group CEO of the company. Today, I manage Nigeria. We'll see how it goes, but I have a boss who is the company's group CEO. And then, of course, there is a board, both even in the Nigerian level and then in the UK where the holding company sits. So all of that happens. So you still have subordinates, you still have peers, because there's also somebody that is leading those other countries, right? Even though today the group CEO acts in that capacity, right? So, and then of course you have your supervisors. So that is still there. And I dare say that as far as I am concerned, or as far as we are concerned from leadership in Agricorp, we are trying to build a multinational company, and we are mirroring multinational companies, which brings me to the point of expertise. I will never, ever claim to have, I'm not an agricultural expert. Yeah. I would never claim to be, at least not for now, right? So coming to Agricorp is not because of my expertise in agriculture, right? But it's because of my opportunity and experience that I have gained working in multinational company. Hey, you have a company that says, look, I want to mirror a Heineken, for example, right? Yeah. And then you have an opportunity to get someone who has worked in Heineken, right? Or Guinness or Lafarge or Coca-Cola. I mean, all of these companies are similar, right? So the idea of coming to Agricorp is to bring to the best of my ability the experience and the systems that you probably have experienced in these organizations to come manage and chart that path for Agricorp to become like those companies. You must also understand that in those roles, you are not doing anything but managing people, right? Managing people. And for a company like Agricorp, 4 years old, just growing, you are also establishing systems. That is basically what you are doing. But at the end of the day, even to establish the people, to establish the systems, you are managing people to establish the system. So I'm not the guy doing the farming, right? I'm not the guy doing the processing of what you have cultivated. I'm not the guy doing the direct selling, right? But I am just bringing my knowledge to the best of my ability from these experiences, and then see how you use that to manage people and manage the experts. I mean, you have a whole lot of experts in Agricorp into different things, right? I'm just here to coordinate and see how these guys bring out the best in what they know, and then how it affects Agricorp. You asked about what the board wants. I can tell you easily, Agricorp's vision, right, is what the board wants. What is Agricorp's vision? To be the most biggest exporter of agricultural products in Nigeria, in Africa, sorry, right? Of course, what that means is that for you to do that in modern world today means that you have to be making money, one. So there's revenue target. From revenue to come, you have to do the volumes. I remember all those days they will be shouting, hey, 10 million 2 liters, 50 million this, 50. That's what drives it. 2 or 3, you need the people to be able to drive it and achieve those numbers or those KPIs, right? So you have to manage the people effectively. 4, you need the systems in place, right? You need to develop those systems in place. You need to provide the tools in it. And of course, you need the corporate governance process in it, to bring it all together and ensure that you are doing it in the right way. You are reducing the risk. You are not damaging the world. I mean, everybody's big on climate change, and we are seeing the reality today. And then more importantly, other than all of that, is that while you achieve these things, you are going to achieve them with people. So you are creating impact. Right? You are providing jobs, you are getting people to increase their capacity, their know-how, knowledge, all of that. And then we are very big on diversity and inclusion. So you are also ticking that box. So for us, for me, it's not really, I'm not an expert. Agricorp, the board didn't bring me because they know I'm an expert, but it's because there's some experience that you have, and then we want to try and build something like we have seen with this organization. By the way, my boss also worked in Heineken, so Heineken, Guinness, these guys are just like the mirror for us. When we look at them, we see ourselves, but we see ourselves in the future in them. So yeah.
So like so Dinma, Mordi, you give me an idea of other leaders that has come into a different space, like John Schooley, who was one-time president of PepsiCo, that moved into Apple and became the CEO and raised the numbers. He brought in his marketing prowess, and he was a genius in turning the tides in tech as a CEO. So what you said, I am hoping that a lot of people actually heard what you said, where it all depends on the mind, trying to know, once you have the vision of what you're trying to build, it doesn't really, so that means, and I think there's a template basically. So if they take you now, Ogadinma, Mordi, and move you into the financial sector and say, okay, Ogadinma, become the CEO of Chase Bank in the UK or Chase Bank in America, you can still perform because it's a template. You don't necessarily have to be the teller that's standing in the counter.
Exactly.
So once you get into the system, you understand the terrain, and you just move from them because you're actually managing people and making sure that the company is actually still focused on its vision. And sometimes you might need to change certain things because you think it's not working, right? Just to make sure you achieve what you need to achieve. So I think you are part of those visionaries that I see that basically you can just take them and move them to another industry to lead, and they still have to do what they have to do, because it comes with both the personality, it comes with both the understanding, it comes with both the fact that you're trying to understand people and trying to achieve what you need to achieve. It's not just focused on the fact that, that was what you said the other day. That's not just focused on the fact that, now you even said it now, that basically how you see yourself as a CEO is the same way you see yourself as an employee. I'm not really paraphrasing, but that's basically what you're trying to say. So everybody holding different positions to see themselves as a leader in that little space and do what you have to do. Just like I'm not trying to bring politics into our conversation now, but if that's how we see ourselves in Nigeria, I think it would be a different case, because you could bring someone that's an army general and become a democratic president, and he will do exploits because he understands what he's coming there to do. He doesn't necessarily needs to go to school to become the democratic president. He just needs to understand that he's leading people. Right? So, and he has to come with his own personality, and his person influences where he comes into. Right? Just like a father in a home. Okay, you're married now, Dinma. I think you were telling me about your son. Your son is about 5 years now.
Yeah, correct.
And the next thing you said, I'm the old man. Yes, you are a young old man. But what I'm trying to say is that you were never married before. You were never married before when I knew you. I mean, I knew you when all those things were happening. You understand what I'm saying? But you were never married when you had your girlfriend as girlfriend, right? Then you now got to marry the woman, the beautiful woman. Then you now assume the position of your father. And basically, it was something inherent. It has been there. And now you manage your family. You tell them, okay, this is where we are, and they are doing well. So that's how I see.
Well, I think you are giving me plenty feathers to cap I never even get. So but I mean, we would know. I've just been in Agricorp 1 year. I know the clear short, medium term goals are required. I mean, so we will contribute to that. But at the end of the day, I think the easiest thing to do to succeed in anything really is either to get the people who know how to do it, or to learn from the people who know how to do it, regardless of your level. I mean, even if you are a manager, if you don't know something, look for somebody that knows it. That way you get the job done. If you're an MD, I mean, I don't think that I'm not sure that I've met any MD that is an expert in all the different functions or departments or skills or whatever Exactly.
Not possible.
So you just get the people who are more intelligent than you, who have more certificates than you, who have more experience probably than you in some of these things. You know, there was a time one of my bosses in Guinness said to me that, look, the day that I know more than you on your job is the day I probably don't need you anymore, right? So why should I bother myself to know more than my colleagues who are responsible for a certain area, right? So, but the point is that you just need to be able, again, it brings to the point of leadership that we talked about. You just need to be able to influence those people. I mean, so my boss, for example, says, look, Dinma, this is what we want to achieve. This is what we want to do, blah, 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 all of those passionate things, right? Your job is to get every other person in the organization to do what they do and then move the organization to those perfect things that has been defined by your boss or the board or the founder. You get what I mean? You know, or what you want to really achieve or the vision. So that's the job of management. That's the job of managers, is to just, you know, just be the fluid. And at every point in time, like you mentioned something about you go from one place and then you have to change things. Yes, any company or any organization that is not flexible enough for change will die with history. I mean, the world today is changing massively. I mean, see Europe now. Now with Russia, they are now really, really geared up to be self-sustaining with gas and oil and other forms of energy because of what has happened. I mean, that's changed. If Europe would remain the way they have been in the last 20 years with regards to their relationship with Russia, continue that way, by now, with winter that is already happening, they probably would have all gone into extinction. But because necessity creates that need to be flexible, you have to always be flexible, and that's why you have to be open to change, to be able to amendment, to be able to upgrades and all of those kind of things. Yeah. So basically, management is just, you know, putting two and two together and trying to get things done. But there is a skill of it, you know. You see, again, like we all know that the skill that you have that took you from one level and promoted you to that level, that skill cannot sustain you in the new level. Sure. So if you move from being an assistant manager to now a manager, the skill that got you into assistant manager, or the skill that moved you to manager that you have as assistant manager, cannot maintain you, cannot keep you as a manager. So you always have to upgrade yourself. So even if you move from manager to join leadership team or management team, there's a skill for it, you know. And trust me, the skill there is also very, very required and very, very complex, you know, because there's politics in it, there is a greater influence capacity, there is, everybody has his own interest. And then, of course, there's also the weight of delivery, because at the end of the day, you know, it's like a coach. Your team does well, all of them and I do well. Your team doesn't do well, coach don't go, they don't sack him. So at the end of the day, you still have to combine all of that, but you still have to deliver.
Yeah. I don't intend to take too much of your time to do. I have this question. How has family influenced your growth? Not just in the professional space, but in life in general. How has family influenced your growth? Both your recent nuclear family, if you understand what I'm saying, both your wife and kids, your father, mother, your siblings, and all. How has family in general influenced you so far to become where you are today?
It is a massive influence. I mean, I don't I know they ever shame to let people know, say I'm a Christian, right? There is so let me talk first about my immediate family. There is I think it was what do we call the man? Mr. Sam. There's a Mr. Sam that I met when I just joined business. It was a very elderly man who eventually became a consultant. One day he met me and said, look, young man, I see you growing active, blah, 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 blah. When are you going to get married? I mean, this is me that just started 1 year in Guinness. I just finished school. I said, sir, don't be down on the think now. That you just want to try. You say, what do you mean by don't be down on the think now? That there is a blessing that comes with marriage. Frankly speaking, I didn't really understand what he was saying then. It was when I got married, right, that I came to appreciate that point. And I use it with everybody. Some of my colleagues, I tell them every day, when are you going to marry? there is a blessing that your spouse carries specifically for you. That blessing goes beyond your life. It goes into directly, I can testify, directly into your workplace. When I got married, the massive opportunities that came within a month of getting married. When I got married was when I left, a few months later, I left Guinness. And then I went to Lafarge. The difference between everything with Lafarge, it dwarfed Guinness completely. And then when I left Lafarge to Nigerian breweries, the difference between Nigerian breweries and Lafarge dwarfs Lafarge. All of that happened within a space of, I don't know, less than a year of getting married. There is a grace that comes from your spouse directly to you. That grace is specifically for you. They carry it from their head, come for you. So the influence that family brings, you can't quantify it. Because other than that blessing, family alone also forces you to build certain skills. One of those skills is patience. Patience. With family, you have to be patient. Either with your spouse, with kids, of course. Kids, their own just helps you to be very, very creative because they're very inquisitive. They ask different questions. There are a lot of things I don't know tech-wise that my 5-year-old son is teaching me. So now, someday I said to myself, but now maybe Papa now, how am I going to teach me every time? So now I guess I force myself to go learn certain things that I really I'm not open to, just so that when he asks, or I can prove to him too that, look, it's supposed to be the other way. I'm supposed to be on teaching, so family has massive influence. You learn a whole lot from family. There's massive politics in family. And if you ever deceive yourself that there's no politics in the workplace, you have even failed from the beginning. If you just have that mindset, you've failed already. So there's massive politics in family because, again, family is just also an institution. Everybody has his own interest. You have to meet everybody's interest, particularly as the head. If you're a guy, you have to meet everybody's interest to go to where you want to take the family to. Extended family, of course, parents are there, siblings are there. My brothers I look at them, I'm like, look, these guys are doing amazing things. So I'm always, up and doing what's the next thing to do, what's the next skill to learn. There's that pressure that comes. Yeah. And it's the pressure that comes from a good space, a pressure that comes from a good place, So, and then you learn all of these skills. If you want to be a procurement person, just go and spend a few months studying family, because everything about procurement, or most things about procurement is in the family. It's about influence. It's about negotiations. You have to negotiate with your wife now. Your wife say, I want 2 children. You say you want 5. How? You have to negotiate to get to a point, right? Yeah. Again, that is some of the things that can help you go into your workplace. So family has a massive impact. If family is under pressure, it automatically shows in your work. You are distracted. The things that you typically do initially, you can't do them. Even in fact, if you have a bad fight with your wife or your husband, and then on a Monday morning, you come into the office, your face is already strong from the gate. Even the gate man is already running away from you. So it has a massive impact. But it is beneficial, right? I think there are mutual benefits that you get from it, from the family into the workplace.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dinma. So I have learned we've not had I don't think we've had this deep conversation. I don't think in our lives we've had this deep conversation concerning life, career and stuff like that. This is actually the first time, because our conversations, we have those conversations, it's usually intellectual, but kind of different here and there. But today,
all those days when we drink Gary together. We and they drink guys together. I just they talk all these things.
Maybe we talk about it, they realize.
You're living the life. You're in the greatest country in the world, so you probably don't remember those things anymore. Get things really bother you. We were in Africa. A lot of things still bother us, so those things are still fresh in the memory. Don't mind me, I'm just kidding, man.
Oh my God, obviously. It was but yeah, those days were beautiful, man. It was really beautiful. And I want to say a big thank you, man. Thank you from those times. And thank you today, actually, for coming on to have this. There's a whole lot of wisdom that you've actually impacted us with today. And really, I've not asked all my questions. I'll be sincere. I have a lot of questions. I've really not, if not, we've not really gone even to half of what I have to ask you today. Actually, like there's a whole lot to talk about, but I really didn't go deep into them. But I'm happy that you actually, while you were answering those questions, you touched a bit on a lot of things. Like when you said loyalty will always trump expertise. That's something that is like you just gave me like some sort of a revelation, like an understanding in terms of relationships with people, because certain times you have, and I think happens with other people, certain times you have a good relationship with someone and something happens and you be like, oh, what happened? Did I hurt this? It probably is because there was the person didn't see that level of loyalty that he or she was expecting. I am not saying that you should always get up to people's expectation. What I'm trying to say is that once there's something going on, once there's a relationship between you and somebody, there must be some level of trust. You must try to show them that you are there, you have their back. Instead of trying to act as if you are here and not, you understand? So it makes them a bit confused if you are in the fight with not in the fight. So that gave me some level of understanding on how to relate more with bosses, and not just bosses, with people in general and stuff like that. And some other things you actually said in terms of planning, in terms of steps to grow in your workplace or professionally. We talked about God, you talked about bosses, you talked about loyalty, you talked about amazing relationship, you talked about hard work. There's a lot you talked about. But this final question, Dinma, just this one. So in life in general, and I keep saying you've had a successful career so far, and I know where God is taking you is going to blow your mind, basically. So, but have you ever gotten to a point, right, in this thing called life, where even professionally and relationship-wise, where you have had your back at the wall and you don't even know what to do? Because people will think you have it all figured out. But I'm trying to, the reason why I keep asking going there is because I'm trying to, because there are some people I talk to and it's like they don't understand. Probably maybe, I don't know what how they see life, but they don't really understand what life is all about. They always think, oh, they see this man here and he just walked there. Oh, there's always somebody that he knows that put him there. I'm not saying that doesn't work. But in certain cases, you probably don't know anyone. And you still get it, right? And people don't really understand. So are there cases where you've had your back at the wall and you don't know what to do? Just paint a little bit of a picture how you deal with those moments.
So as I speak to you, my back is at the wall right now, and for something I don't even know what to do. So for this particular one, I don't know what to tell you because we never crack them. But of course, you know, the reality is that, and I would like to use the context Nigeria, because that's where most of these challenges really are very evident. You know, if you ask any entrepreneur in Nigeria today, how is it going? I can tell you most of them would respond in that very typical cliche way, oh, it's going on good. But if you probe further, you would find that there's a whole lot of challenges that entrepreneurs face in Nigeria. You know, there is the government complexity, there is the lack of infrastructure, there is the lack of expertise. A lot of people are leaving today. The ones that are available, you need a lot of funds to be able to attract them, you know, because to get things done, to get people, you really have to pay good money to get people. And so you find yourself in a situation where, which I must say that in the last 1 year, even before that, but at least that's the recent one that I have. In the last 1 year, I have come to understand really what entrepreneurs and MDs and managers and people who run things, you know, what they really, really do go through, you know, because I've had situations where it was almost like we're stuck. We got a deal, and then, you know, that deal was really going to help us, you know, do a whole lot of things. And then it just gets stuck. In some cases, you don't even understand why. They can't even tell you why it's stuck. In some cases, it's clear that, look, because of this, sometimes, for example, for us, sometimes because of our size or the capacity of things that we have or assets that we have, we cannot access certain things. You cannot access certain funding. You cannot access certain clients. You cannot, I mean, just being in Nigeria alone limits you to a whole lot of clients. I mean, our business is exports, right? That's what our crux is. But the Nigerianness
Factor.
Yeah. The Nigerian factor limits you. You want to believe that because we also have representation in the UK, you wouldn't believe that sometimes if you send an email that comes with a Nigerian, from a Nigerian server or from all those tech things when I go talk, or just even a Nigerian email, right? You won't get a response. You send emails and say, look, and these guys need these things. For example, you know, clients in the Americas, in China, they need your service. They need the products that come out from Nigeria. And you send to them, and look, this is what I do. I can give you, you won't even get a response. But once we switch and I go and use my UK email and send, my God, the responses that you get, even if the deal doesn't go through, but the fact that these guys take you serious, you know, again, that is the Nigerian factor. That is really massive for an export country, for an export company. That is a really massive impact on your business. You know, and of course, look at power today. Power alone can make you go crazy.
Yeah.
And make you go, can crumble your business literally. You know, infrastructure, logistics, everything. So all of these things, sometimes they come together at the same time, and then you're like, so there's no breather. I mean, there's no breather. You're out of one thing, you know, before you're even done with that one, another issues coming up. So there's a lot of times, I don't want to be able to, because it's also a public forum, I don't want to really state certain things because business, you know, because a company is still a private company. So, but I can assure you that we have had situations where we got stuck. You know, we got stuck. We had situations where we got stuck financially. We've had situations where we got stuck capacity-wise. We have had situations where we got stuck with people, right? Financially, it just affects everything. You know, you can't access funds. The banking reality in Nigeria is also not helping. So you can't access funds to be able to meet certain obligations. You can access funds to expand. Like, remember, there is a vision. There's something you want to build. There's a Heineken, there's a Diageo that you are trying to mirror your business to, you know, based on your own peculiarity and your own vision. You know, those things require resources across board, financial capacity and all of that. To build those things, we've had situations where we got stuck with them. Some of them we abandoned it. Some of them we got more creative. Some of them we got people, you know, again, coming to amazing relationship. We got people who helped us, and then we made a way. Some of them is just about the integrity. I mean, there are some situations where I just got stuck and I just called my boss, say, guy, man, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. He makes a call and then there's a breakthrough. Again, it comes from reputation, because they know him, because they know you. You know, so some of those situations have happened where we got stuck and then we were creative to get out of it. Some of them we had to abandon. But again, even if you're abandoning, you know, like they say, when you cross the bridge, don't burn it down, because you never know how you come. So you abandon professionally and they understand the situation. I mean, we've had clients where because of certain reasons, we didn't meet obligations. Maybe we met other people's own, we didn't meet some, we couldn't feed them. But those things, we took them very personal, and they understood why. These same people came back a few months down the line and said, look, I know that there was a challenge then, but because of who you guys are and how you manage the whole situation, I'm interested. They give you another contract worth millions of dollars. You have the fund, then you begin to meet them. So it is really, really tough. I wouldn't lie to you. Anybody that tells you that, I mean, if you see my boss, the guy don't slim now. Just 2 days ago, I was asking how you did now, you know. The guy has reduced again, but maybe not because now the fasting really happened. But the point I'm making is that it's a tough one. But as long as you are resilient and you know what you want to do, you are clear in your mind, again, that's where this whole thing about capacity comes in. I'm not a specialist in agriculture. I just know that I'm here to achieve something. And as far as I stick to that, which for me, and I know for my board and my boss, it doesn't matter what we go through. You know, like they will say, sometimes when we say, no devil will stop us. It doesn't matter what we go through. It might be delayed, but we are getting there. But the good thing is that whatever causes that delay, we learn from it. There are certain things that I've learned by the pressure that I faced in the last 1 year, that if I knew in my days of Guinness, Lafarge, and Nigerian breweries, and I applied them, those skills, those experiences, I would have been much, much better. Maybe I should have grown faster by what I've just learned in 1 year by being an entrepreneur. You know, so of course, you know you want to go to a certain, you want to achieve certain things, you want to do this, right? You don't, most times you don't necessarily know how. You develop the how as you go through it, as long as you're just focused on your where you're going to what you want to achieve. You know, you don't necessarily know how. We know, for example, today that our vision is to build a company that becomes the single largest exporter of agricultural products in Africa. I mean, when you hear that, you don't necessarily know how, you don't even know when. You then take your time to set a strategy, to set different things, do all of those things, good, sweet things that consultants will tell you. Most times, brother, in the Nigerian context, sometimes those things don't work. You know, again, you also have to plan for it, that these things might not work. But do you give up? No. So you get stuck, but you have to look for ways to get out of it.
Yeah, man, Dinma, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Like I said, I have so many questions, but I would not push this further. Other questions might come, maybe we'll have when we have our personal conversations, or hopefully, we are hoping that in the near future you come back again, and I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, it's you now. So as long as we have things to share, we are always open to have a conversation. I mean, like I said, I follow the YouTube experience a whole lot. I mean, I listen to Kola Shawana, I listen to Yobin Shoge. In fact, I watched the recent one on Alfred about project management. Man, the things I learned from that, you have no idea how much I've deployed them here. So again, it's all about there's no knowledge loss. You get the knowledge, use it somehow, and then move with it. So thank you for the opportunity. You are doing an amazing job with these things. I just pray and ask that you continue because we are learning a lot from it. You know, some people, you might think that, you might just think that people know they see you, and I lie. The world, they see you, we follow, we know what's going on, and we are connecting to it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much, really, man. I like I said, I learned a lot, and I believe a lot of people learned from the buckets of wisdom you actually gave us here today. It was really essential to hear from your wealth of experience, based off the fact that even though there were things that I actually knew, but it became clearer today. In terms of your relationship with people, relationship with God, because I remember when you were my landlord, where I woke up by 5 o'clock to go to Daystar for membership. Remember that time? I have to be quite early in the morning for me. So there were a lot of things that over time I've come to understand, and this discussion today, even though it's actually a chill interview, basically, to talk with a friend, it gave me another level of insight in terms of how to really, really manage certain opportunities that I have. That I'm talking about my own learning here. In terms of every other person listening, the idea was to push career understanding, entrepreneurial understanding, and family understanding in relation to how these three things match up to make you become better. And you actually did justice to the conversation, because it's like you knew what I was trying to ask, and you delved into these conversations while you were answering those questions. Right? Yeah. So I think you understood what I was trying to get out from you, but you went in even before. So it made my life easier not to really ask you some of those questions, even though I have a plethora of them here. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you for the opportunity. We always like to share when we can. So if we have to come back another time, well, let us know. We'll always be available.
You guys, you heard him, right? He said he's going to come back. So I will put it out there that you said you were going to come back. So thank you so much, bro. So we'll stop the recording. So guys, till when next to meet again, please take time, for those that didn't have the time to join, please go back on the recording, try to listen. If you have any questions, I would ask Dinma if it's okay for me to put out his social media handles on the different platforms so that you can reach out to him if you have any questions and connect with him. I asked about mentorship. He said something about it. So if you really want to link up with him, if he's free because he's busy, you can also gain 1 or 2 knowledge from him. So thank you guys. Thank you for listening, and bye.